Tonight, we're tracking a silent killer, organizational rot. Precinct 11 isn't abandoned. It's being surgically dismantled from the inside out, turning honest cops into unwitting targets of a chilling, automated purge. This isn't just about stolen files. It's about preemptive neutralization and a system that has turned the very air cops breathe into a corrosive threat. Are you ready to see the real enemy hiding inside the GCPD's own records? You are listening to Gotham City Radio, the voice of Gotham since 1945, broadcasting tonight from Wayne Manor with our host, Aubrey James. The time is midnight.
Good evening, Gotham. The midnight hour finds us wandering through the city's vast, echoing halls of forgotten responsibility. I'm Aubrey James, here with you, watching the empty chairs. We've faced the crime boss's crypts and the corrupt courts. Now, we confront the deepest fear of all, the absence of the protector. Our focus tonight is GCPD Precinct 11, the massive station house known locally as the Iron District Hub. On the books, it's fully staffed. In reality, it's a skeleton crew running on fumes and low morale, a physical monument to the slow, demoralizing rot eating away at the city's ability to police itself. The lights are on, but no one is home. The station is mostly silent, yet the sounds tell a story of neglect and a vacuum of power. I hear the constant, weary buzz of the fluorescent lights, illuminating empty desks. And beneath that, the dry, unsettling clatter of a filing cabinet, not being opened or closed, but rattling rhythmically, as if something is systematically searching, working its way down the rows of files in the absolute quiet. This is not the sound of a beat cop. It's the sound of bureaucratic erosion being accelerated by a quiet, unseen malice. The silence of the precinct is broken by the sound of methodical searching. Let's welcome our first voice. You're on Gotham City Radio. Name and location, please.
Aubrey, this is Daniel. I know Precinct 11 well. The only files that rattle like that are the dismissal and internal review dossiers. The ones kept under high attention, waiting for a final signature. Why would someone prioritize those specific, controversial files?
Daniel, thank you for providing that critical context. If someone is systematically searching the internal review files, what is the ultimate goal? Is it to embarrass the police, or to facilitate a far darker operation?
It's to arm the enemies of the GCPD. Those dossiers contain the weaknesses, the grudges, and the psychological profiles of every officer who was investigated or dismissed. They are looking for vulnerabilities to exploit, for officers they can bribe, threaten, or turn.
Arming the enemies of the GCPD with internal knowledge. If this internal profiling is successful, what is the single most immediate threat to the remaining honest officers in Gotham?
The threat is preemptive neutralization. The criminals will know exactly where to hit, which officers to avoid, and whose family members to threaten. They'll eliminate the few remaining honest threats quietly, before they even clock in.
Preemptive neutralization. A terrifying, silent purge. Please remember to like and subscribe, Daniel. This internal intelligence operation, culminating in the chilling goal of preemptive neutralization of honest officers, suggests a systematic purge designed to cripple the GCPD from within. The theft of the dismissal and internal review dossiers is a strategic maneuver to acquire the psychological profiles and vulnerabilities of the city's finest, allowing the criminal element to arm themselves with internal knowledge. This facilitates far darker operations than mere embarrassment, enabling a swift, unseen erosion of the police force by eliminating the remaining honest threats quietly before they even clock in. Next up, we have call 2. Let's hear from our second caller.
Aubrey, this is Maya. I'm a forensic auditor. The station is supposed to be running on backup power at night, but the fluorescent buzz you describe is too weak. It sounds like the criminal who abandoned the station left a back door open in the power system, diverting resources elsewhere. Why would they leave the building technically operational, but deliberately starved of power?
Maya, thank you for providing that technical insight. If power is being diverted from the precinct, what is the criminal gaining from starving the station's electrical grid?
They are gaining cover for a secondary operation elsewhere. The drained power keeps the communication and surveillance systems in Precinct 11 unstable, preventing anyone from noticing the real, power-intensive crime that is happening across town.
A calculated power drain used as an operational distraction. If the Batman intervenes, what is the most critical question he must answer immediately upon entering that environment?
He must determine where the power spike is occurring. That energy drain is the only tracer they have to the true, high-intensity crime. He needs to follow the current, not the corruption.
Follow the current, not the corruption. A vital distinction. Please like and subscribe, Maya. The deliberate starvation of Precinct 11's electrical grid by diverting power is a calculated operational distraction designed to keep the station's surveillance and communication systems unstable and ineffective. This creates essential cover for a secondary, power-intensive crime occurring across town. The perpetrator is essentially using the precinct as a decoy, a loud, visible point of failure that masks the real, high-energy event elsewhere. The most critical, immediate task for any intervening hero, like Batman, is to determine the location of the power spike. This energy drain serves as the only viable tracer to the true crime, making the distinction between following the physical evidence of the current and the abstract trail of corruption a matter of urgent priority to locate the genuine threat. Next up, we have call 3. Let's hear from our third caller.
Aubrey, this is Robert. I used to work the cleanup crew on Precinct 11. The station is only secure if the main computer mainframe is running, but with that power drain, the heat is going to kill the cooling system. Why isn't anyone focusing on the fact that the station is cooking its own evidence?
Robert, thank you for sharing that infrastructural risk. If the computer mainframe overheats, what is the immediate, non-combat threat to the city's ability to maintain order?
The threat is total data loss. If the cooling fails, the hard drives crash. They lose all active case files, all criminal profiles, all arrest warrants for the past year. It's an administrative apocalypse. Erasing the legal memory of the district.
An administrative apocalypse. Erasing the legal memory. If the Batman intervenes, What is the single, counterintuitive action he must prioritize to save the data beyond physical defense?
He must flood the server room with CO2, trigger the fire suppression system manually. It will destroy the paper evidence, but the extreme cold will stabilize the data cores long enough for a rescue team to retrieve them.
Sacrifice the paper to save the digital. Please like and subscribe, Robert. The structural risk identified by Robert confirms that the power drain is creating a ticking time bomb, leading to an administrative apocalypse. If the mainframe's cooling system fails, the resulting hard drive crash will cause total data loss, erasing the legal memory of the district, including all active case files and warrants for the past year. This makes the crucial, counterintuitive intervention necessary. A hero must prioritize saving the digital evidence over the paper trail by triggering the fire suppression system, sacrificing the latter to allow the extreme cold of the CO2 to stabilize the data cores long enough for rescue. The phone lines are busy, but we have time for one more. You're on the air.
Aubrey, this is Ethan from the forensics lab. I'm focused on the sound of the rattling filing cabinet. That rhythm suggests the drawers are being opened by a small, high-tension wire attached to a timer or a remote mechanism. This isn't a human searching. It's a machine.
Ethan, a chilling mechanical detail. The perpetrator is using a machine, not a human, to search the sensitive files. What does using a remote, timed machine tell you about the criminal's motive and identity?
It tells us the criminal is either paralyzed or wants to remain absolutely untraceable and geographically distant. The operation is automated, designed to retrieve precise information without the risk of physical confrontation or capture.
Automated theft of vulnerability. If the Batman finds this remote mechanism, what is the single most important action he must take to stop the search and trace the source of the control signal?
He must isolate the tension wire without cutting it. By connecting a reverse current pulse to the wire, he can follow the signal back to the control module, effectively turning the machine into a homing beacon.
Turning the machine into a homing beacon. Thank you, Ethan. Please like and subscribe. Ethan's forensic analysis reveals a deeply chilling mechanical detail. The theft of sensitive files is being executed by a remote, timed machine connected by a high-tension wire, not a human. This automation confirms that the perpetrator is seeking to remain absolutely untraceable and geographically distant, effectively eliminating the risk of physical confrontation or capture. Therefore, the strategic action for intervention involves isolating the tension wire and applying a reverse current pulse. This ingenious move will turn the machine from a passive thief into an active homing beacon, allowing a hero to follow the signal back to the control module and trace the source of the remote operation. Taking a shift in focus with our next call. You're on the air.
Aubrey, this is Dr. Lee. My concern is the psychological toll of this abandonment. The officers who are still working the ghost shift are fighting under the immense pressure of knowing no one is backing them up. What is the psychological consequence of working a deliberately unattended police station?
Dr. Lee, thank you for focusing on the human cost. What is the long-term psychological damage to the few honest officers who remain at Precinct 11?
The damage is moral exhaustion and paranoia. They start to believe that every crime, every missed call, every failure is due to their own inadequacy, when in fact, the system itself has been maliciously dismantled around them.
Moral exhaustion. If the Batman intervenes, how can his presence provide psychological support beyond the physical capture of the criminals.
His presence validates their paranoia. It proves that their feelings of being targeted and abandoned are real, not imagined, allowing them to finally shed the guilt and recognize the true nature of the systemic rot.
Validating the paranoia. Thank you, Dr. Lee. Please like and subscribe. Dr. Lee brings essential focus to the severe human cost of this systemic attack, highlighting the immense pressure leading to moral exhaustion and paranoia among the few remaining honest officers. Working in a deliberately unattended station causes them to wrongly attribute every failure to their own inadequacy, rather than recognizing the external malice at play. Crucially, the simple presence of a figure like Batman provides more than physical protection. It performs a vital psychological function. His intervention validates their paranoia, proving that their feelings of being targeted are real, allowing them to finally shed their guilt and confront the true nature of the systemic rot that has been maliciously dismantled around them. Ready for the next insight from the Gotham streets? You're on the air.
Aubrey, this is Marcus. I'm a retired utility worker. The station is over an old steam main that runs right into the city hospital. The whine of that heating system suggests a massive pressure imbalance. Why is the pressure drop at the police station a serious threat to the hospital?
Marcus, you bring us back to the systemic risk. If the pressure drops at the precinct, how does that create a risk for the city hospital's operations across town?
Because the drop at the precinct is creating a suction effect on the shared main. That suction is pulling toxic residue and corrosive steam from the Narrow's waste pipes right into the hospital's clean steam lines, contaminating their sterilizers and heating systems.
Contaminating the hospital's clean steam lines. The abandonment of the station is causing a secondary citywide health crisis. What is the single, desperate action the Batman must take to equalize that pressure and save the hospital?
He must overload the precinct's main steam valve. A risky, controlled blast of steam pressure. It will blow the valve and destroy the precinct's boiler, but it will equalize the suction and save the hospital's clean lines.
Overloading the steam valve, sacrificing the precinct to save the hospital. Please like and subscribe, Marcus. Marcus, the utility worker, reveals the abandonment of the precinct is causing a systemic, physical contamination of the city's infrastructure. The pressure drop at the station's old steam main is creating a dangerous suction effect that pulls toxic residue and corrosive steam from waste pipes directly into the city hospital's clean steam lines. This contamination puts the hospital's sterilization and heating systems at severe risk, escalating the localized criminal act into a major public health crisis. The only desperate action available to equalize the pressure and save the hospital is to overload the precinct's main steam valve, resulting in a controlled blast that will destroy the precinct's boiler, a necessary sacrifice to stabilize the hospital's essential services. Let's hear the next theory coming in now. You're on the air.
Aubrey, this is Susan. I taught acoustics. That rhythmic clatter of the filing cabinet is providing a constant beat. If the officers are suffering from paranoia, that constant rhythm will interfere with their cognitive filtering, preventing them from distinguishing real threats from ambient noise.
Susan, a fascinating detail about the acoustic weapon. If the rhythmic clatter is destroying the officer's cognitive filtering, how can the Batman use that noise to his advantage during a stealth operation?
He can introduce a counter rhythm, a single, sharp, irregular sound that is just loud enough to break the pattern. That sudden disruption will shock the officers out of their paranoid state, resetting their focus long enough to recognize the machine and its threat.
Breaking the pattern with sharp, irregular sound. What is the single most effective tool the Batman has to create that sudden, pattern-breaking acoustic spike?
Not a sonic weapon, too loud. A single, perfectly tuned metal harmonic tuning fork. The pure resonance will cut through the ambient noise without causing permanent damage.
The tuning fork against the machine. Thank you, Susan. Please like and subscribe. Susan, the acoustics expert, highlights the psychological component of the attack. The rhythmic clatter of the automated filing cabinet is an acoustic weapon. This constant rhythmic noise is designed to interfere with the officer's cognitive filtering, exacerbating their paranoia and making it impossible to distinguish genuine threats from ambient sound. Batman cannot simply use a sonic weapon. Instead, he must introduce a counter rhythm using a specific tool. A single, perfectly tuned metal harmonic tuning fork. The pure resonance will cut through the pattern and shock the officers out of their paranoid state, momentarily resetting their focus so they can identify and neutralize the automated retrieval machine. We have our next caller queued up. Let's hear them out. You're on the air.
Aubrey, this is Simon. I track illicit trade. The internal review files contain the unpaid informant payroll for decades. If those files are compromised, the city loses its entire network of criminal informants, making proactive policing impossible.
Simon, thank you for detailing the human risk. If the informants' identities are exposed, what is the fate of Gotham's proactive policing strategy?
It collapses entirely. The informant's silence will be total and permanent. Gotham will revert to reactive policing, only responding to crimes after they are committed, never preventing them. The city loses its eyes and ears.
The city loses its eyes and ears. If the Batman intervenes, what is the single greatest piece of leverage the criminals gain by stealing those payroll files, even if they don't use them immediately?
The leverage is future control. They can hold the exposed list hostage, ensuring that no officer dares cooperate with any future investigation, turning the entire precinct into a compliant organization.
Future control through past betrayal. Thank you, Simon. Please like and subscribe. Simon, the illicit trade tracker, exposes the highest human risk: the theft of the unpaid informant payroll within the internal review files. The exposure of these identities guarantees that the informant's silence will be total and permanent. This loss means the complete collapse of Gotham's proactive policing strategy, forcing the city to revert to reactive policing, only responding to crimes after they are committed. The criminals gain immense future control by holding the exposed list hostage, ensuring that no officer dares to cooperate with any future investigation, thereby turning the entire precinct into a compliant organization through past betrayal. Keeping the conversation moving, you're live with us now. You're on the air.
Aubrey, I'm calling from the tower's sub-level maintenance tunnel. I hear the whine of the old heating system. The steam main runs right under the gun locker vault in Precinct 11. If the steam pressure drops too fast, the extreme cooling will cause the vault's lock to seize up permanently.
Danny, thank you for the critical structural detail. If the gun locker seizes, what is the immediate danger to the honest officers still in the station?
They are unarmed and completely exposed. The criminals attacking the files know the vault is their armory. If it freezes, the officers are reduced to relying on hand-to-hand combat against whatever armed crew shows up.
Unarmed and exposed. If the Batman must overload the steam valve, as Marcus suggested, how can he simultaneously prevent the fatal cooling and seizing of the gun locker?
He needs a single, localized burst of extreme, dry heat applied only to the lock mechanism moments before the steam valve is overloaded. The heat will offset the cooling and save the lock.
The pinpoint heat burst against the steam. Thank you, Danny. Please like and subscribe. The ongoing pressure imbalance from the steam main, Marcus's threat, has a localized critical consequence. It runs directly under the gun locker vault, causing the extreme cooling that will make the lock seize up permanently. This leaves the honest officers in the station unarmed and completely exposed to any armed crew. To execute the necessary overloading of the main steam valve to save the hospital, while preventing this fatal cooling, a hero must apply a single, localized burst of extreme, dry heat directly to the lock mechanism, moments before the overload, offsetting the cooling effect and saving the armory. The calls are flooding in. Let's bring the next one up. You're on the air.
Aubrey, this is Dr. Hayes. I track digital forensics. The remote mechanism running the filing cabinet is controlled by a highly secure quantum-entangled signal. To stop the search, the Batman needs to jam that specific quantum frequency.
Dr. Hayes, thank you for detailing the high-tech defense. If the quantum signal is impervious to conventional jamming, how can the Batman introduce noise into a frequency that is designed to repel intrusion?
He needs to introduce a precisely timed, ultra-low energy, reverse polarity wave. It won't stop the signal, but it will momentarily reverse the magnetic field controlling the machine's actions, sending the drawers closing instantly.
Reversing the magnetic field to stop the machine. What is the single most important action the Batman must take once the machine stops clattering?
He must retrieve the microdata card embedded in the filing cabinet's wiring. That card contains the log of all the files already searched, giving the police the only forensic lead they have to the entire operation.
Retrieving the search log. Thank you, Dr. Hayes. Please like and subscribe. Dr. Hayes confirms the high-tech defense of the file theft, identifying the remote mechanism as being controlled by a highly secure, quantum-entangled signal impervious to conventional jamming. To stop the search, the hero must introduce a precisely timed, ultra-low energy, reverse polarity wave. This will momentarily reverse the magnetic field, instantly sending the drawers closing. Once the machine stops, the critical action is the retrieval of the microdata card embedded in the wiring, which contains the log of all files already searched, providing the only forensic lead to the entire operation. Line 4 is blinking. Let's see what they have for us. You're on the air.
Aubrey, this is Commander Hayes from the Coast Guard. We have identified the trajectory of the power drain, Maya's observation. It's spiking in the decommissioned City Hall substation. That station powers the entire emergency 911 dispatch grid.
Commander, thank you for tracing the current. The power drain is targeting the 911 grid. What is the ultimate consequence of starving the city's entire emergency dispatch system?
The system won't crash, it will delay. Every call will be routed with a 5-minute lag, turning critical emergency response into a waiting game. The goal is to allow the simultaneous, high-intensity crime happening elsewhere to be completed before anyone can respond.
A 5-minute lag, the ultimate insurance policy for crime. If the Batman equalizes the pressure, Marcus's suggestion, how can he simultaneously prevent the power spike at the 911 grid?
He must reroute the surge to the city's old decommissioned radio tower. That tower can absorb the massive energy spike without cascading failure, saving the 911 grid at the cost of destroying the tower.
Sacrifice the obsolete structure to save the crucial emergency system. Thank you, Commander. Please like and subscribe. Commander Hayes pinpoints the ultimate target of the power drain, the decommissioned City Hall substation, which powers the entire emergency 911 dispatch grid. The consequence is not a crash, but a deliberate 5-minute lag in every emergency call response, creating an ultimate insurance policy for crime by guaranteeing the high-intensity crime can be completed before any official response can arrive. To prevent the cascading failure when the pressure is equalized, Marcus's suggestion, the hero must reroute the massive energy spike to the city's old, decommissioned radio tower, sacrificing the obsolete structure to save the crucial 911 system. Our next voice is ready to join the discussion. You're on the air.
Aubrey, I'm Leslie, a logistics analyst. The abandoned state of Precinct 11 creates a massive opportunity for the criminals. Uninterrupted operational time. They have hours to search files and plant devices. How can the Batman reduce that operational time without backup?
Leslie, thank you for focusing on the timeline. If the criminals rely on unlimited time, how can the Batman introduce a time constraint to force them out early?
He must simulate the arrival of heavy, organized backup. He needs to deploy a sound device that mimics the unique signature of the Commissioner's personal vehicle convoy. The heavy sirens, the low-frequency diesel. That deception will make the criminals believe their operational window is closing fast.
Simulating the Commissioner's arrival. What is the single most important action the criminal will take when they believe their window is closing?
They will immediately extract the search machine, abandoning any unfinished files. That forces them to take the physical risk of retrieval, ending the remote operation.
Forcing the human element into the trap. Thank you, Leslie. Please like and subscribe. Leslie addresses the criminal's primary asset, uninterrupted operational time. To force the criminals out early, the hero must introduce a time constraint by simulating the arrival of organized backup. This involves deploying a sound device that mimics the unique, heavy signature of the Commissioner's personal vehicle convoy. This deception will make the criminals believe their operational window is closing, forcing them to take the physical risk of immediately extracting the search machine, thus ending the remote operation and forcing the human element into the open. We have our next caller online. Let's head towards them. You're on the air.
Aubrey, this is Vic again. I know Precinct 11's layout. The way to access the server room and save the data, Robert's suggestion, is through the old ventilation shaft in the evidence room. It's a tight squeeze. Only one man can go.
Vic, thank you for sharing that risky shortcut. If the Batman takes that route, what is the greatest non-physical danger he faces on that path?
The greatest danger is the chemical residue. The shaft is lined with old, dried-out fingerprinting powder and corrosive residue from evidence spills. He risks severe respiratory distress if he doesn't have a fully sealed, high-grade breathing apparatus.
The danger of respiratory distress in the confines of the shaft. If the Batman risks that route, how must he modify his approach to neutralize the toxic air?
He must use a non-rebreather system with a completely closed oxygen supply. He can't use the air in the building, it's too corrosive. He has to bring his own environment with him.
Bringing his own environment with him. Thank you, Vic. Please like and subscribe. Vic confirms the only path to the server room is the highly dangerous ventilation shaft, which is a tight squeeze and poses the non-physical danger of severe respiratory distress from old fingerprinting powder and corrosive evidence residue. For the hero to risk this route and save the data, he must modify his approach by using a non-rebreather system with a completely closed oxygen supply, effectively bringing his own environment with him to neutralize the toxic air and access the server room. Let's not waste any time. We have another perspective waiting. You're on the air.
Aubrey, I am Professor Eldridge, retired history. This silence, the abandonment of Precinct 11, is worse than any riot. It is the silent death of civic trust. What is the most enduring damage caused by this slow, deliberate withdrawal of authority?
Professor, thank you for addressing the historical weight of this abandonment. What is the long-term historical damage to the city caused by this deliberate withdrawal of law enforcement?
It creates a systemic vacuum. The people lose the memory of what functional authority felt like, leading them to rely solely on vigilantes or to form dangerous, self-serving militias. The memory of the law dies.
The death of the memory of the law. If the Batman succeeds, what is the most important symbol he must leave behind to restore civic trust in the immediate term?
He must not leave a symbol of himself. He must leave a symbol of competence. A fully functioning, cooled, and organized server room with the note, "The files are safe, your power is restored." He must restore the memory of function.
Restoring the memory of function. Thank you, Professor. Please like and subscribe. Professor Eldridge defines the long-term philosophical damage, the silent death of civic trust, leading to a systemic vacuum where the people lose the memory of what functional authority felt like. If the hero succeeds, he must not leave a symbol of himself, but a symbol of competence. A fully functioning, cooled, and organized server room with a clear message. This act, restoring the mechanical function, is how he will restore the memory of the law and civic trust. Another key piece of the puzzle is waiting on the line. You're on the air.
Aubrey, it's Ethel. All this talk of sabotage and data cards is tiring. My question is about the desk lamp. Why is that weak, buzzing, fluorescent light illuminating the chaos? Why don't they just turn it off?
Ethel, thank you for focusing on the simple visual reality. Why is that single weak light left on in the midst of this silent operation?
It's a symbol of false authority. The light buzzes because someone wants the public to believe the system is still running, even though the system is empty. It's an empty promise of protection.
The empty promise of protection. If the Batman succeeds in saving the data and the honest cops, what is the quiet, true victory gained for Gotham?
The victory is that tomorrow morning, the honest officers will turn off that weak light. They will turn on the main power, the cooling, and the communications. They will choose to fully occupy the station and end the ghost shift.
Ending the ghost shift. Thank you, Ethel. Please like and subscribe. Finally, Ethel focuses on the single, weak, buzzing fluorescent light, a symbol of false authority and an empty promise of protection. The true victory is not the spectacular capture, but the quiet, decisive action taken the next morning. If the honest officers are saved, their ultimate, quiet victory will be to turn off that weak light, turn on the main power, and fully occupy the station, finally ending the ghost shift. And so, Precinct 11 remains a monument to ghost shift, a silent operation to erase the city's legal memory and cripple its emergency response. The threat is not just the criminal, but the systemic abandonment that creates the vacuum of power. The path to victory requires simultaneous action: saving the data cores, Robert, neutralizing the search machine, Ethan, and overloading the steam valve, Marcus, while using a heat burst, Danny, to save the gun locker. The true goal tonight is to restore the memory of function, to prove to the honest officers that they are not alone and that the promise of the badge is worth fighting for. This has been Aubrey James, broadcasting tonight from the sanctuary of Wayne Manor, your companion against the ghost shift. Thank you for listening, for sharing your critical intelligence, and for helping us fight the rot of abandonment. Until next time, stay safe, Gotham. And remember, the greatest danger is not the criminal who steals, but the authority that quietly steps away. Good night, everyone.
Mm-hmm.